It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines, and after a century of war...
No fear, no fear, no fear, no fear, no fear, no fear, no fear here and Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, coming to you from the western part of Maricopa County, which was the county, and which is going to be the county in elections, you know. Oh, this is what's going on. John Brakey is going to come on and explain it to us. Now, John Brakey and I have known each other for a long time. Now, what John does is he has ACE. Yeah, what is it called? Yep, ACE. So, ABE, a better election. A better election. All right? So, we're going to have a better election, which is going to mean what? Well, we're going to get into it. Now, later today, after this show, go at least an hour or more with John and get that all done. We have Dr. Judy Mikovits on. We're going to go ahead and get caught up with her. Now, this has been an interest, or of all the elections, this is one of the more interesting. And it's the most important election of your lifetime. Well, they're all that, but this is philosophy is on the ballot. You know, the role of government. It's not how to rule. Yes, we're going to, get totally ruled or ruled less. You know, I chose less. You know, I wish to be less ruled. But is that really what's going to happen? Is the election going to do that? Or other forms of communication, of expressing your opinion, wallet voting, where you raise your kids, where you live, how you live, are these really the ways to express yourself and have real change? Or does the voting make a difference? Does it? Well, I've been doing this a long time, and John has too. Now, what happened was early in the 2000s, I started doing radio in 03. By about 04, 05, John contacted me with what, egregious election fraud for gazillions of dollars in Tucson. And I said, go listen to these election category of my shows and so on. You'll see where I'm at. So he did that. Okay. So here's somebody who knows what's up. So we started working together, but John is definitely from the left, and he wants to have accurate elections, but can you have an accurate election and use computers? And that was kind of my argument and so on. I'm that man, you got to have vote day paper, because I know these scumbags are scumbags, and if they can be scumbags, then they will be, because they can. That's just the way it is. So, in my opinion. But John has come up with a program that he wants to demonstrate that this election, now we go paper next one or something, whatever, we'll see. But this election, he can out election fraud. That's the claim, okay? He can keep it honest, and he wants to make sure everybody knows. And as soon as he comes up with something like this, all of a sudden they don't love him no more. They go, nope. We don't like John anymore because he's fixing it, damn it. They're inside the moat, They're inside the castle walls. He's doing it. And this has been pretty much the common theme, as time goes on. So we're going to go ahead, and over the years, John and I have gone deep dive on this stuff. A lot of different efforts around the country, a lot of different methods, a lot of different audits, a lot of lawsuit, movie, lawsuit, movie. I mean, it's been amazing. So John was wanting to make sure he get to express himself today, which I'm going to allow him to do. But just as a warning, Indiana, we wouldn't have to do all this stuff. We just had holiday, election day, vote paper and purple fingers or whatever. I mean, that, just say it, So this is going to be my response. You're still voting? Then we can get, but if we get an accurate election, well, then we can get to whether the majority can rule over people and take their stuff for the collective. That's a whole nother discussion. But until you have an accurate election, you can't even get to that. You know, Dad, never mind. You're still voting. Don't care. You know, this is so bad. And John and I both know exactly how bad it is. Just saying, all right? But John's got a cure, I think, maybe. John Brakey. John, all right, man. The floor is yours. You know, convincify us. I want to see what's up.
Okay, well, I just want to say this first to the audience is that, yeah, me and Ernie go back 20 years, and sometimes we approach problems different ways. You know, I always say that my glass is half full and Ernie's is half empty, but we're at the same place.
Hey, take a shotgun to the glass.
What's that, Ernie?
I'll just take a shotgun to the glass. Boom, done. There ain't no glass. You know, paper. Damn it. All right, go ahead.
I'm an activist, and I'm driven by love and reality. What I do is not about the right or left. It's about right and wrong. Okay. The presentation that I'm getting ready to do right now is about Abe, and it's named after Abe Lincoln. Okay. It is about, you know, the same kind of history that we're in right now. Are we heading towards civil violence, some form of a civil war or whatever? I've been covering elections really hard since 2000. 2004, I quit everything else I did and I committed my life to understanding how elections work. How did I know so much how bad these machines were? Well, I was a beta test site for the same platform in Mexico for Briggs & Stratton and Mercury Marine. And I knew the back doors of the Diebold database because the database that I was working was the same format. And so that is when I met Ernie, and then I studied his files because he was way ahead of me by, what, 5-6 years, Ernie, that you were covering this stuff before I joined on the team?
I started in 1990, 89, 90.
God, you had 10 years on me.
Yeah, no, my lawsuit got filed in 91, well, when I went to the Ninth Circuit. So it's a while.
Well, I've sued Maricopa County, I think, 7 to 8 times over the years, okay? And I was able to put a pretty good effect because, the last time I was in Maricopa, they finally did everything the way I wanted it done. I wanted all the wires exposed, nothing go through a wall. I want to trace every wire. Everything happens in one room. It's amazing that if you're persistent and you push things. But anyway, getting back to this, what we're getting ready to show you is how a do-it-yourself audit system would work. And some of my partners on this, of course, my group called Audit USA, which is a 501c3. Audit is an acronym. It stands for Americans United for Democracy, Integrity, and Transparency. I was part of the Maricopa audit. I was working with Senator Ken Bennett. He wasn't a senator then. He went and ran for office. And he's a senator right now, even though he did not get reelected. He got beat. Mark Fincham, who moved up there. And so also Bill Reiser, as you see his name right there or whatever. But anyway, moving on here, before we jump in, we need to describe the data that we'll be comparing. Our election systems are filled with data that we can look at and verify. We can make sure that the number of votes is the same of the number of ballot images, which is really important. You want to know that if they give you 400,000 images, do they have 400,000 signatures on file? We had a bill that me and Ken Bennett wrote. It was vetoed by the governor, and it was sabotaged by Common Cause, okay, a lefty group, okay, and just unbelievable.
Lefties.
Yeah, they are. I think they're really corporate now. They almost, I guess, went out of business years ago, and then big corporate money came in. Because, that's the big issue I have with what the controlling thing is, these billionaires or whatever, the money flying around. So anyway, moving on here. What is the importance of ABE? ABE plays a crucial role in an election process with transparency, redundancy. Redundancy is a big word. It complies with the elections. It compiles election results like bricks in a pyramid. That's why precincts are very important to me, because precincts have a history, okay? I'm going to try to go quick. I'm not going to read all this. Since this is a macro, you'll need to inform your system when you launch this by giving properties. If you look at the slide in the very bottom, I'm pointing down that when you bring in ABE to your computer system, you have to go to properties before you launch it by looking at the macro and saying, yeah, this macro can work on my computer. Macros can also, if you're not careful and know where you're getting this stuff, could be a virus. Macros on the spreadsheet that we'll be working with, an evil macro can say every 10 votes for Harris, let's change it to Trump, or vice versa. Cast vote record databases are important databases. But if you're not getting the ballot images, it's not worth anything, okay? Because it can be changed real easily. And I'll show you as we go through this how it all works.
Okay, hold on. People need to understand what we're doing here. Okay, now what you're doing is on your own laptop, PC, whatever, you can download this software, and there's a data stream from your county, state, something, somewhere, or something. If you can get that, you can load it in and query it for whatever audit you want to do. How far off am I?
You're pretty much right. It's the software you would have to have. You have to have Microsoft Office on your computer that has Excel, and a lot of people have that. And what you're really downloading is the data and the macro that's going to do all the work. And that macro saves you from pressing hundreds of buttons, okay? Because we've automated it. And you'll see that as we go along.
Okay. Well, I want to make sure people understand what we're talking about here.
Good, thank you.
So you have this database that you're getting from the election. You say images, the images. What are you talking about? What
database? Yes.
Okay, well, tell us about these images, this database I'm getting. I order it
at
Circle K, what?
Well, you have to request it. It's the database for the election. And this is, well, let's just start from here. When you put a ballot into a machine, it takes a picture of it. And then in RAM, the picture is processed, and then it's put into a single cast vote record that then is transferred into what they call the cast vote record database, CVR. And it's one row. In that database is everything on one ballot. That database can start off at column A, and let's say it was Pima County, it could go through the alphabet maybe 3 or 4 or 5 times, meaning you could have a row that could have 100 different elections, from the governor or this president race or whatever, and you can examine. And I'll explain how I usually do, because when I set up, I run twice. I run one as a single because
we can get into the details, but I just want to know how we get this database.
Well, you have to file a records request, and when you download, you'll find records request in my files how to do it. What I'm really hoping is to work with the Libertarians and Green parties to be the adults in the room and have their candidates all over the country start filing these requests and then say, I don't need to tell you why I want these records, but I want them because we're tired of the Wizard of Oz system. We need proof that people won and lost.
Okay, no, I'm with you. I just want to know what we're doing to get with here.
That's right.
So we order this database, we request it, I want it, I get it, and which has been in the past, what you've always wanted. You wanted to have the database of the election, the images that they were making totals from. So what you're doing is getting the results of the images or the images themselves, because what the computer is doing, while you're describing it, is that the computer takes an image. When you feed in your ballot into these machines on paper, that the paper is the backup. Well, unless they've changed it, it was illegal for them to, to count the paper. They had to keep counting the images.
After I sued them, yes. I had to sue in the state of Arizona because I caught Pima County destroying these ballot images, and I filed a lawsuit, okay? And I won the court case. Then I had to file another case to go ahead and get the images, and while I was getting the images, Chuck Huckleberry hired a lobbyist, and they did a striker bill in Phoenix at the legislature, and they made it somewhat illegal to get the ballot images in our state, and that's a fight that's going on still right now. Okay.
See, this is my point. It's one, I want to understand what it is that you're looking for. When the actual paper goes through the machine, it creates an image. It's that image that they're counting, not the paper.
Right.
The paper got. Now, there is a barcode. There's some kind of something that identifies that image with a particular ballot, isn't there?
Yes, but that only happens on what they call a ballot marking device, which is usually handicapped. In Arizona, there's very few of those, okay? And yeah, you got to be very careful with that. In fact, in ABE, we built a special category to deal with ballot marking devices by building a file separate with only those where they could be examined even closer. Because you could have a barcode that tells you that the vote is for Trump, and then written in, it could be Harris, or vice versa. You can do all sorts of games with this stuff.
And that's kind of my point. All right, so go ahead and walk us through this process. You download, how much memory storage does this program take? I mean, is it,
what we have here, it's very small, okay? It's only 3/4 of a gigabyte. But I could give you, like Dane County with 300,000, that's in Wisconsin, and that would be 44 gigabytes, okay?
Okay, now that's the data. I'm talking about the program. The program's nothing.
Very small.
I mean, it's
very small. I could email it.
Okay.
The macros.
All right, so we have this program, runs on an Excel spreadsheet that you can download because most of this stuff's Microsoft anyway. Yay. So you go ahead and you put in the database into the program, and then you're asking what question? What does that give you?
Well, it gives you everything that you want to look at. Okay, overvote.
All right, go ahead, do your thing, man.
Write-ins, ballot marking devices. It does all sorts of things. Like on the screen right now, you're seeing a spreadsheet, and it's not very close up. You can see it, and so we want to compare the votes on the ballot images to the piece of information. Is called a spreadsheet in the cast vote record. It's a record of every vote that has been cast. So one row is everything on that ballot is what it is, okay? And this is the setup sheet that you're looking at right now, okay? This is what we would go ahead and fill out, and I'm going to show you that right now. I'm going to click on to the next one. And here's the sheet you fill out. It's very simple. A goes with A, as you can see the line. That is the ballot images. Where are they? You've got to tell the computer where these files are. Then you want to go ahead and where do you want to put the results? So we're going to put that in B, okay? And then here's Dane County. This is the bigger one with 300,000, okay, that I ran. And then D, E, and F are questions. And it refers to the cast vote record database. Where is it on the sheet that we want to look at things? Because we have to point to them and say, okay, Mr. Abe, you can find all the data here. You can go ahead and do this tremendous amount of work, okay? And so then you fill in ballot log, and what we're working with is 3.5, even though 3.6. Believe it or not, I've been working on this thing for about 8 years. Only in the last year we developed it finally because we understood the technology better. And so we had like 45 versions, okay, since February, because we kept building and we had to learn how to make it go faster and handle the data. Typically, it's good to have a computer with something like this that's really small, because like I said, this is only 3,000. It only has 6,900 images, and like I said, it's 3/4 of a gigabyte only, a small computer. Now, what I'm going to run on in my computer in my green screen studio, which I'm on right now, is a processor i7 16-core. If I was running a really big program, I bought another computer for about $5,000, which has a i9 24-core, and I have 192 gigabytes of RAM, because RAM holds all the data. And you don't want to go back and keep looking because it could stumble and have a problem. RAM is all temporary memory, is what it is. In fact, interesting enough is that, when they destroy ballot images, they just don't destroy them. It's when they turn the computer off, because all the images are stored in RAM, and is what they do. Now, I've been running around the country, as you know, Ernie, suing different states.
Okay, wait.
Not to destroy this data.
Yeah, the whole point has been that they keep promising. What they do is they'll have the salesman for X machine come in. Oh man, we're the best machine. Oh, your citizens want to have accurate, fair, transparent elections. We're your guys. Gazillions of dollars. You get a new machine and get some in the voting industrial complex. Okay, so they buy all these machines with this feature, and then we didn't turn it on. We undid that. We didn't make it available. We turned off the computer and it all went away. We're so sorry. At next election. Yeah, we'll get it next election. I've heard this over and over and over. Okay.
Me too.
So now you're talking about that. All of this processing and this information that's there is in RAM. So when you say I get the ballot images, do you get the result of the processing of the image, or are you getting the actual image, a JPEG, an actual image of the ballot? Which is it?
You get the actual image, okay, and then you get the database that goes with it and how they recorded it.
And what are you searching, the database or the images?
I'm doing both, buddy. It's a hybrid system.
Right.
You need the image to confirm that the data hasn't been tampered with, manipulated.
Okay, I'm just saying.
Nobody ran a macro saying, let's switch this and switch that. Because like I said, without the images, the cast vote record is practically useless for confirming.
So is your program going through the images and OCRing it or something, or scanning it, or
no OCR anything? It's a hybrid. Now let's say, for example, well, first off, let me do this. Let me continue and run ABE. It will run very quick, less than a minute. It's going to go very fast. You're not going to be able, but I've already created a video and it's very short. So here we go. Okay. And I'm going to get myself out of the screen. Oops. Okay, here we go. And I'm going to jump out. Okay, so I'm filling in the boxes, as you can see right now. I'm telling it what I want. Create a log. Okay, we want that. I want separated by precinct, everything by precinct, okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and collect. I want overvotes, undervotes, and write-ins, all those categories, okay? And then we press start. I start my clock, and here we go. Continue. This should all happen in 52 seconds. It's entering names. It's going so fast that I can't even keep up with it. Okay, creating separate sheet for each precinct record is what it says. Creating separate precinct files and hyperlinking is what it's doing. Okay, so it's going to have 24 spreadsheets when we get done. Okay, and now it's creating a list of undervotes, creating a list of overvotes. And so then it's adding links. It's going so fast I can't even keep up with it. Okay, it's amazing what it can do. Combining results. No, we don't need to combine because it's our first run. If we were doing several runs, we could do that. Let's say you get the results, in a couple days after the election, the final a week later, you can combine and get ahead of the work.
Yeah, they're talking about it's going to take weeks to do the election here in Arizona. Are you kidding me?
Now, what did ABE create in 52 seconds? So let me quickly prepare the CVR for processing. Entered names of ballot images, adding links of hyperlinked names of missing images. Meaning every time you see red, like in the bottom of the sheet there, those are missing. So I created a 24th precinct because I wanted to know what happened to these 8 files that were recorded, and they're side by side. I think it was duplication they found and they cut them out. I'd like an explanation to that, even though it had no impact on the end results. Okay, sorting 23 precincts. We just created 23 separate precincts because I want people to learn how to climb a hill before they climb a mountain. And secondly, precincts are the building blocks of our election system. And someday I hope to see precinct committee men, women from both parties or all parties, and that they're trained how to run ABE, because when they go knock on a door and somebody says, hey, I don't vote because I don't believe it's real. I believe what Mark Twain said. If voting made a difference, they wouldn't let us do it. Well, I want to show you that it does now. because we did something special. We made it transparent, trackable, publicly verifiable. And why? Because we don't trust this system unless we can see it. And this, like I said, this is a hybrid, okay? Now, he created a list of, these are all the things it did. Creating a list of overvotes. Now creating a list of undervotes. There was 24,000 undervotes in this election.
Which doesn't mean anything unless it's linked to an actual ballot.
It is.
So is it doing that? Okay.
Yes, sir. Totally. That's what
and
it's
you
about.
have those images. I want to look at this one over there, and you could check each actual picture of a ballot and its total and what it was reported as. Then you get a column, and you go through that, and you start totaling.
What you're looking at right now is I have two screens set up. One screen will be for the ballot image when it pops up. And they pop up real quick, just a snap. And the second screen is going to be for the spreadsheet, okay? Usually it's good to have two people. One person is reading the ballot, and the other person, and when I talk about reading a ballot, you don't just check one race. You check all the way across, okay, on that sheet. And so one person reads, the other one says, yep, correct, 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 correct. And, you know, if you have a spreadsheet that has 800 voters, do you need to do all 800? Yeah, you can if you want to. Or what you could do is come up with a formula. Let's say, let's do number 1, 11, 22, 33. We're randomly going through to see if we can find a mistake on any race that wasn't recorded right. And of course, you're going to find some mistakes. You're going to find mistakes like, for example, somebody circled the circle. That doesn't count as a vote. If you don't mark inside the bubble, you lose it. You know, I have one slide here I could show a little later that a guy, there was 20 races, he voted in 14 and only one counted because he circled the name. And on one of his votes, when he circled the name, the line went through a bubble, okay? Or it could be a situation that you had a hesitation mark and you filled in. Or let's say another good example is that you voted for Trump and you're so hard wanting to vote for Trump, you write him in too. And that creates an overvote. That means you lost your vote unless a human being sees it. If a human being sees it, then what happens is it counts because it's called voter intent, okay? And creating a list of images of write-in votes, okay? There's all these things that you can use to examine and forensically look at things really hard. Combine separate, now when we talk about combining, let's say that they release results the day after the election and it's only 85% of the votes. You could analyze that and compare up to then what it is. Then if they give you another one, you could combine and it will retract what it already has and add the new. That way we got a complete look of everything that's going on, okay?
Well, I'd want to compare the vote up to like 10 p.m. and then what they did at 3 a.m. What happened?
Oh, you'll see that. You know, because the cast vote record is consecutively numbered. That means there's going to be big spacing in between because they can't make another one. And I've seen that.
I get it. You get a database, you're running it, you're querying it, you're doing all kinds of cool stuff. Then what?
Then what is that we are now creating the ballot marking devices, a separate index. And you can see on my sheet that all these categories right there is the things that it's doing. And all you had to do is push 6 buttons on the setup.
No, I understand. And then you discover what? They cheated, they didn't cheat, and you
That's right.
call the They Cheated hotline?
Elections. Are they real or not? And this stuff is married. You know, in our bill that we proposed, and there's a link in the sheet, we wanted to set up even a ballot library that after the election, so many days after it, right away you had to get the databases in Arizona if this bill didn't get vetoed by the governor 2 days after the election has been certified. And they agreed that they would extend the challenge time to still keep giving us the 5 days. Listen, with ABE, I can go through an election, a big one like Pima County, in 1 day. I can tell you if it was hacked or not or rigged. And it would have to be done with a human beings working the data, comparing one row with everything on that one ballot and just doing it over and over to see if you can find where it was misrecorded.
Okay, to make this work, we just skipped to the end here. To make this work, you have to have the program, somebody that gives a crap and wants to do it, and access to the data, right?
You have to get a records request file. And it's important that we try to get candidates to start filing, because they have more of a right because they're on the ballot to challenge in Arizona.
Well, that was one thing that I found in all my lawsuits and everything. They don't really care about the candidate. The candidate, we don't care. But the voter, they really make a big deal out of the voter and their rights and what they had an opportunity to. The voter was denied the ability for an accurate. The voter was denied the right to vote for you. The voter, kind of thing. As a candidate, my individual rights of me being able to petition my government for redress of grievance and run for office, we don't care about you because you had a vested interest and you won't go away. So this has been the mindset. So what is the success of requesting, getting, challenging, and them listening to you or to a group of you or a whole committee is sitting there going, look, this sucks, which has happened for 2020 for years, okay? And they just ignore you. So what is the end result that you're looking for? How are you getting into legislation? Is it, just a see, looky, see, I see? What is it you're trying to accomplish?
Well, I'm trying to make elections transparent, trackable, publicly verified because the Arizona Constitution is very clear, okay? Voting is a secret process. It's an act, okay? When that ballot leaves your hand and it goes into the ballot box, it's anonymous. Ballots in our state are a public record, okay? And that's the fight that I'm in right now, is to try to get it freed up. And, certainly I need help to do that. And candidates are going to be key. It's like I met with Pinell County and I showed them the system because, they had a fault, okay? And then they came back to me and said, oh, Mr. Brakey, this is a really good system. Now what we have to do is that we have to go ahead and form a committee and study it.
Of course they do.
Got to get with the lawyers. And we don't think that we can do that. And I'm saying to them, whoa, let's stop here. This is an independent system. It has nothing to do with the election management system. You import the data to an independent, separate computer with a brand new drive. You don't use a used one or anything. It has to be chain of custody, and then you can run it on your computer. And they said, oh, we would love to do that, but we haven't got the time to do that. And I met with them 3 or 4 months before the election. Then in their primary, they just had, which was really interesting, is that one of the board of supervisors who was running for sheriff challenged the election. And instead of using ABE, they spent $125,000 to have somebody come in and say, hey, it was fair, with no goddamn proof. Okay? That's where I have a reaction, okay? Is that maybe they don't want to have elections. There could be good reasons.
No, you didn't say it. You didn't say it. They're pretending. They're frauding. They're making it up as they go along.
I don't know if they are or not. I'm not going to say that, but I am concerned, okay?
I know.
Trackable and publicly verifiable, okay? They're not good. And I know that when they say to me, Mr. Brakey, gee, are you some kind of a conspiracy theorist? We want a logic and accuracy test. A logic and accuracy test, they tell me.
Okay.
What is that logic and accuracy test? It's
not a damn thing. All right, let me explain to the people what that is. I've been to, a dozen logic and accuracy tests. What they are is they have a scheduled time before the election to do a stack of, 100, 500, 1,000, whatever. It's not very much. It's probably like 100 votes. They take, the ballots, the cards, or whatever the heck that they're using at the time. I've been through a lot of them over decades. And they go through, and it used to be the city of Tempe, the city of Phoenix, the city of Glendale, Peoria, Scottsdale, whatever. They had their own logic and accuracy test. So what they would do is they go, all right, this is what we're doing. We're going to go ahead and have our own logic and accuracy test, and to see, because we know what it is. We had, for governor, 337. For this guy, 482 for that guy, and whatever the hell else. And then, propositions, initiatives, they were all fake, okay? We sit around, all right, go. They'd run it through, and then it'd come out with a total, and it should match the sheet of whatever it is that they actually voted over here. I hadn't been to one of them that it was accurate. There's always something off, and in every case, yeah, good enough. They run it maybe a second time. Well, it's kind of, just signed on. Hey, whoa, what the heck just happened? It's close enough for government work and get over it. I was like, what the crap? This logic and accuracy test doesn't mean nothing. And then what they were using, the program, back in the 90s, it was a little mini, magnetic tape, a little database, like a movie, old cassette kind of deal. They go, yep, signing off on this. They put it in an envelope. They, seal it and sign it. That's the program. Okay?
Then
where does that go?
Secretary of State's office, and it was against the law for them to look at it.
Against the law. This is one thing that I kept bringing up.
Everything you said is, for the most part, right on, Ernie. But I do want to point out one thing. A logic and accuracy test is an important test, but it's not an audit. All it does is prove that it's working right at this moment. It's all
and that particular machine.
They're running it in
okay?
test mode, okay?
For that particular machine. It means nothing. Means nothing.
Well, we can disagree on that and agree to disagree.
Means nothing.
It is an important test.
It didn't mean anything to them. They didn't care whether it balanced out or not. I've had so many.
Go into the important part of this test. Why it's so good. Can I say that, please? Okay. When they run this test, Ernie just explained how it worked, but I want to compare it to Volkswagen. Okay. Volkswagen built a computer that went into their diesel cars. Okay. And every time it went into the emissions, and when they plugged into it, it said, whoa, something's going on here. And then when they put it in their load and ran the tire, the back tire didn't turn. It had a sensor built on it, and it knew it was being tested. So what did it do? It turned on the pollution controls, okay? And then it turned around, okay, and started cheating. It didn't change it by 40%. It was 4,000 times over the limit. That's how bad it was. In fact, in Europe, they claimed that 70,000 people were dying per year because of the pollution that diesels put out. Now, you'll find a slide in my presentation, if you download, that explains the Volkswagen scenario.
I got a whole nother scenario, but we're not.
400. Yeah, and by the way, Ernie, when this was in 2014, by 2020, it cost Volkswagen in the United States $33 billion. It's a story that never really took off. They had to buy back like 480,000 cars, okay, and make restitution. They didn't have to do that kind of restitution in Europe because our laws are different. If I sell you something and I claim this, and this, and it didn't work, you got defrauded. In Europe, they would say, gee, Mr. Brakey, that's really bad what they did, but how much did it cost you? How much did it cost you? No, Your Honor, it doesn't matter about the cost. It's a matter that I bought a car that I thought was green because I wanted to save the planet, and I found out it was worse than a gasoline car. And that's what it was. Okay? And it took a computer to do that.
I understand. Just for accuracy, I gotta, because you brought it up, I gotta add. I did do not a deep dive, but enough that I wanted to know what the hell was going on, because this is what was happening. I think it's the TDI. There's an engine that Volkswagen makes in the U.S. I think it's Tennessee or something. They make it in the U.S. A guy goes to Europe, and they sell fuel by the liter. So he couldn't really do direct comparison. He's just like out driving around. They'd fill up, driving around, converting to miles. They're kind of like, what the hell, man? We're not filling up hardly at all. What's the mileage on this thing? They do some conversion. It's getting 40, 50 miles a gallon or something. And they're like, holy crap. He goes, I definitely want this car. So he comes back to the U.S. and he goes, well, where's this engine? Oh, it's being made here. I want it. I go, you can't have it. What do you mean I can't have it? No, you can't have it. It's not made for U.S. because of the way their laws are. They can't do it. It goes to Europe. Because what they had done to carve out a market and exclude Volkswagen from this is they were like, how much pollution per gallon is this thing getting? They didn't factor in mileage. It got such good mileage that per mile it was under. But that's not how they calculated it. They would calculate it by the gallon, no matter how many miles you got per gallon. So it was polluting less. But what they did is they changed the computer thing to get past this block that the U.S. was doing on them. So they got caught. But was it polluting more? They didn't care. That wasn't the point. It was how much pollution per gallon, not how much pollution per mile. That's how I remember it. And once I came across, I go, I get it. It's just more corruption. It's, lies, damn lies, and statistics, and they were just getting them with statistics. So this is, you brought that up. I just wanted to make sure that got out. Okay.
Good. I think it's important.
But the point is the same, is that with a computer, you can do whatever the hell you want, which is why, I've been an advocate since the beginning. I'm going, the only way that you're going to have an accurate election is you do it as it had always been done before. Like you say, by precinct. Oh my goodness, you have representatives of different parties, volunteers, interests. They're there to witness. They keep putting up blocking. You can't see. You can't video. Once people started getting videotape in the late 90s, that everybody's got a video camera, and then, oh my God, it got to the phone. They were like, oh, hell no. The people, they're inside the castle, okay? So what they do is illegally exclude people from the counting process over and over. We got all kinds of stories. So what happens is that they just bamboozle you into, we had the computer. When I first started in 94, they had moved Maricopa County elections down to South Phoenix, and the reason was because it had a T1 line there that they could plug into the back of the counting computers as it was counting an election. And that data went back to the World Trade Center where all of the broadcast news was, so they can declare and announce whoever 3 minutes after. Now that people starting to scrutinize it, it's going to take us 3 weeks. It'll be days before we know. We have truckloads of ballots that we're going to kind of put in the paper. And that's what happened in Maricopa County. By the time that they were counting the paper, it was already frauded. Of course it was going to come out for Biden or whatever the hell, because the fraud was in the paper. They created a bunch of mail-in ballots. They created a bunch of paper. The first time they started doing this, they had 60,000 extra ballots out running around somewhere that they, all of a sudden showed up, in the 90s. So you could see what was coming. You could see it was going to happen. What John's doing is, okay, if you're going to use this computer system for whatever the convenience of speed something, we're going to have a mechanism by which we can check it. That yes. From my laptop in my living room, I download this software. It's nothing put on my computer. I got nothing better to do than to troll the government on their election process. Oh, I want to see this, and this. Then you got to go back to the actual ballot, or what they say, the image. Well, do you have the image? He says yes. Okay, well then I say you're screwed up like polio, and let's go check. Then we go look at the actual ballot. It doesn't match. Why? How come this doesn't happen? And we've gone through this. In 2004, when I ran against John McCain for the U.S. Senate, they had just done a movie called Hacking Democracy on HBO. It was the black box voting kind of thing and so on. Bev Harris, I think was her name. So we've had them on the show, gone through all this stuff, and I was making CDs of this, CD-ROM, whatever, you could play them. And that movie, I had gazillions of copies, onesies. Then we got, CD towers, and we were able to do like 500 an hour. And I would go around and just pass these out wherever I would speak. I go, look, this is the most important thing. You do not have an election. This is all a lie. This is just, bamboozling, BS, and so John went down the road of how can we audit that? How can we use computers and make sure that it's accurate? How can we self-audit? How can we do it really fast? And I'm like, get rid of the freaking computers. You need to go one-day voting. I can see absentee for, cause, military, move, kind of, that's the way it used to be. You do an application for this. This is why I want to do it. Okay, you get point nothing percent of people that got to exercise their franchise because they were on vacation or whatever. Cool. Then you get the ballot harvesting at the nursing homes. You got to allow for that because Democrats definitely want to do that. But you had this mass. I was there at the beginning of it. The first state was Arizona in '94, and I got a story. I mean, I'm telling you, and it hadn't got better. It's only gotten worse. So if you know their mindset, who you're dealing with, who John deals with on a regular basis, John, and there are people working with John from around the country we've had on the show, and they keep missing the main point. You go to a precinct. The people there may even know you, or at least know of you, or it got you on a freaking list. You show your ID. I'm that person. I'm going to vote that person. I'm going to vote it once, and we're done. Okay? Then they get a stack of ballots, and they sit there, and they count them. And you get like 800 to 2,000 in a precinct. It's not big, giant, oh my God numbers. And when you get done counting them with witnesses and everybody representing different parties, go through, yep, boom, done. You get a total and you report that total. They add it up on a spreadsheet, election's over. And it's done that evening. That evening. That's not how they want to do it. And every single step that they separate from that. Well, we're going to take them, we're going to put them in somebody's car and, pinky swear, we're going to go straight down to where they're going to count them. The cities don't do it anymore. You go to the city of Phoenix, Tempe, or whatever, maybe a couple out there that count their own elections. No, they all go to Maricopa County. Then Maricopa County is going, hey, all the other counties, you don't need to do that, just bring them to us. We'll centralize, and we'll count all of them. All the city elections, we'll count all of them. We'll count all of them. I'm going, yeah, right. And then when they do the signatures for the ballots that they actually do, they don't check. They can't. It's too many. They had 3 terminals there to check thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds. I'm going, you're not checking them. I want a freedom of information request on the time that somebody's sitting at this thing doing it, and they do a sample and take like 10 seconds. It wasn't physically possible. So what do? They farm that out to some third party that tells, we checked them all, went through this here machine, and we're, Fred's Election Services, and here, you can count these. Oh, yeah, well, hell, I feel better now. So this is not a solution. You have to have either what John's saying, that you can take the actual images of all the ballots that you can match up, that you can do some forensics on, but all that is unnecessary when it's paper, and paper was counted with witnesses, high school kids coming in, getting the extra credit and the A+ for standing there and watching and learnifying themselves on whatever, the gray-haired old women from Sun City, whatever, but paper ballots. So we're at the closest point because of what John has and others and myself, and we've all demonstrated. It's so effed up, it is uneffable, okay? You can't uneff it. It is messed up by design. So we're close to them advocating, and we might get a serious discussion about it going to paper. If we do, John, will you support that? And just counting the paper at the precinct.
But
Boom.
it has to be simple paper. It would have to be like they do in Europe or Canada, okay? You cannot put out a 2-page ballot and expect to hand count the whole thing. It's got to be something simple. I mean, I was very upset about Georgia when they were fighting about hand counting. They weren't talking about hand counting the ballots. They were doing an inventory only. How many ballots did we take in? Took in 800. Good. We can count 800. 10, 10, 10, 10, And then does it match what the machine says? And does it match how many people who voted? Okay? In the state of Arizona, it used to be, is that we don't have precincts anymore in Arizona, except virtually. We have voting centers. Okay? And that is one of the biggest reasons that ABE is important. I can take all of those ballot images and sort them into the precincts that they came from, and then provide what you're seeing on the screen right now is Maryland County, Somerset, and there are 23 official precincts. There's 6,900 ballots. They're broken down by precincts. Precincts have demographics. Precincts have a history. This precinct is 70% Republican, 30% Democrat. This one is this. We can go back and see voting patterns. We can see that's how you work election fraud. Now, I want to say...
No, that's how you work elections. The people that are the consultants and the politicos, they definitely want this data. They definitely are designing their advertising and what the demographics of the people and the proclivities are. They're definitely big data in this. They're definitely AI in this kind of information.
Of course
definitely.
they are. Of course they are. They're, it's incredible. Hey,
if you do just paper,
censorship that's happening with me, okay? Because they're afraid.
You
of
do
me.
just paper, and all that goes away. They're not going to be able to. They don't have the data to put into the big database.
That's what we at Audit USA have done, okay? And it was working with Ellen Tyson for many years. I've known her for 20 years. She is a programmer who does macros and built it. We tried 6 years ago. We couldn't make a large number work. And finally, back a year ago, July, I dug back into this thing and I just worked it over. I got Ellen to look at it again and we finally figured it out. Then my son-in-law, who is a computer genius, taught us how to optimize. Because that's how he's made all his money. He worked in Wall Street from Brazil. I just got a brand new grandson a year ago, Teal. And he built a program there that on stock he got $2 million. And then he got hooked up with Coinbase, and he made $6 million there. Okay, and his whole trick was how to optimize macros and make them work faster. Okay, because a fraction of a section in Wall Street could be a big thing. And also, when you use Bitcoin and those devices, he's one of the lead people on that whole team. And he's an amazing guy that was a big help in helping me do this. It really was. But anyway,
okay, so I can see you have a lot of
precincts. If you clicked on one of those, a precinct would open up, okay? And here's one I'm opening up right now, as you can see on the screen. And what I wanted to do is that you'll see that this is that blue item down below here on the bottom, okay? Yeah. That is using Microsoft Pivot. And I want all the results. So here is Cox Shunley. He had 447 votes. Now here's the results from the county. What did they have? 447, okay? And you can see all these lines are verifying that it's adding up right, okay? Now, I have a theory.
I'm sure it'll add up right.
It will after you check the images.
They always add up right.
The database hasn't been changed. By the way, when they pass out this stuff, don't you think that we did something special? We took away their impunity to steal in the black box because we made it transparent, Ernie, that they'll get caught. Hey, listen, impunity, what does it mean? I can steal and nobody will know. Okay?
It is now.
That's what ABE does. It offers
garbage in, garbage out. That's all I got to say. It comes down to the actual ballot itself. And can they insert? Can they insert images? Can they insert data? Can they phantom? If the answer is yes, if it's physically possible for them to corrupt this data, is it physically possible? Is it possible? Then they're doing it. They're doing it because they can. And it starts with the paper. It starts with the ballot. It starts with all these.
Are hashed. There's no redactions, okay? We're not going to allow them to redact. If you decide to put FU on your ballot, I don't want it redacted because it's evidence, okay? And it's married to the physical ballot. We can take the image and challenge it and say, now we want to go back to the original ballot. We don't need to look at all 800, but we want to select so many just to make sure that it wasn't done. Not everybody can get at the original ballot because they're afraid somebody's going to tamper. The biggest thing that a lot of election departments are scared of, this is freaky what I'm going to tell you.
Counting original ballots, that's what they're scared of.
No, well, they're not. They're just afraid somebody's going to tamper with it. Someone's giving a piece of lead below their finger. Okay,
That's what they're
Hey,
saying.
there's a lot of funny people out there. Okay,
You can't
get a
tamper with
million
what we
people in there
tampered.
and look at paper. But my system, you could pass out 1 million of these to everybody and let them look. And then if they do an audit, they should have a right to pull so many images. And 30 days after the election, they should be able to say, okay, yeah, it looks pretty good to me, but I just want to be sure. I want to match these images up. That's what I want at the very end.
You know, where you have an examination, where you have an examination of every ballot, where you have an examination of voter intent, where you have an examination is done by people at the precinct. You just count it, and there's a total, and you're done. You know, this is we've gotten so far.
You want to hand count at the precinct, and it's going to happen by next week.
Hell yeah! Hell yeah! No, it doesn't. It doesn't take that long. It doesn't take weeks. I guarantee it doesn't take weeks. I guarantee it doesn't take weeks. I guarantee that. Okay.
Oh, you know, didn't take us to count 2 races in Maricopa 5 months. 4 months, I should say.
Point. You know, you're just making my point. So this is. I'm glad you got this, John. It puts more pressure on them to open it up. It puts more pressure. We got a solution. We got a way to do it. You guys
have always been my major team. The Libertarian Party and you and me and the Libertarian Party have been working together now for 20 years. And you are your party is the go-to party that gives me inside the room without the crazy politics from the right and left.
And I was happy to help, but I'm telling you, it was only just more data for me of how they resist you over these decades. Because John comes in, what they do is county chairman and so on, they would have the ability for us to be represented when they have these negotiations on how the voter database is given to the parties, what data there, it's all this kind of, you got to sign off and totally agree to whatever, which we usually wouldn't, and they, we hate working with you libertarians. They said this one time. They go, we hate working with you libertarians. You all have jobs. Because we couldn't schedule around when they wanted to do it, 2 in the afternoon or something, because we had a job. Oh, I'm sorry. It's just, God, you just want to strangle these people. So this is what you're dealing with, is people that represent whatever the R's, the D's, the they, the them, the those. They're either being paid by the party, or they're not paid and they're volunteering, or they're officers and they're doing whatever. So the libertarians, they encouraged us to participate and go and, at the ballot. Well, okay, but we're actually going to do a job. We're sworn in to uphold and not be, a dick. I'm like, all right, well, that, I know that and that. No, not allowed. Get out. You're doing it wrong. We don't want you to see behind the curtain and actually know what the hell's going on. Yeah, and this extra piece of machine that all the memory cards go through before it goes to there to just kind of, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. So this was our experience the entire time, all the time. So as we bring this stuff up, John is like, I'm willing to do it. I'll go meet with them. I want to, take the ability to represent the Libertarian Party. You designate me as the go-to guy. I'll go, bug them. Peace, man. You go do that. So that's what John's been doing with the authority of the Libertarian Party to go and try and get inside to be able to do this kind of stuff. Well, you go, man.
For not being political with me, not letting me have access, and also being my plaintiff in these lawsuits. Okay, I don't know how many times I had Barry Hess, ran for governor several times, the Libertarian Party, to be the major plaintiff in a case, and especially because he was on the ballot, which makes him somewhat of a part of the fiduciary. But getting back, if I could, I'm going to take myself off the screen because I want you to see. There are 3 reports, and they're called EL reports. And the one that you're looking on the screen right now is a EL, I don't see the number, but the next one you will. They're in my records request. And you can see, I explained how this matches up. This is what my system did, and I'm looking to see if it matches. And by the way, it did, but if you look at votes that were missed, then we're going to find it wasn't. There were votes that the machine only reads the bubble. Okay, yes, we did find votes that were voter intent votes that if the election was close, And usually when they have a close election, it triggers a recount, and that's when they look at overvotes. And hopefully they might find undervotes, even though undervotes are practically on every ballot. And if you said, show me all the undervotes in Maricopa with 2.2 million voters, you'd probably have 1.9 million ballots with undervotes on them. So you really can't analyze those by eye so well. But what I do is I run a separate single sheet with everything, and then I sort the top race, which let's say it's the presidential, and I look for undervotes there. Okay, and how I look there for those undervotes on the presidential is then I look at the whole row, and if I find blank ballots, come on, do people really send in a blank ballot, or did they just mark it wrong? You'd be surprised. They circled the circle, or they circled the name. Okay.
All right, let me give you an example of how this is important. All right, I want to people understand what's going on here. In the 2020 election cycle, there was a big problem when they had the big black Sharpies. You're not supposed to do that. You know, it's a pencil or it's a whatever. So they were giving these Sharpies to, the claim was, in Republican-dominated districts, they all got the black Sharpie. You know, they went to Office Supply, got a boatload of them, they put them in the precinct. Here, you use a black Sharpie. Now, the ballot is two-sided, okay? When you do the black Sharpie, it would bleed through, and the other side, it'd go overvote. Oh, it's messed up. Kind of, you know, it's messed up. It's messed up. So then they would take those, all of those that did that, and they got to go determine voter intent. So they take a stack of these, and they give them, they go, yep, that was Biden. Yep, that was Biden. I think he intended Biden. We're going to do some Biden. There's a little bit more Biden here. Got it, because they intentionally spoiled the vote to go to do intent where somebody decided who they voted for. How far off am I, John?
Very far off.
All
Let me
right, go.
explain it now, okay?
Go.
Okay. The reason that they wanted to use Sharpies at a voting center is because the ink dries very fast. And if it does bleed through, it doesn't matter because the ballot is designed that the other oval on the other side is not going to be in the same space, okay? But if you had regular ink pens and you stick it into the machine, you fill out your ballot, you stick it in there, the ink could be wet and it would stick to the mirror or the glass. And then it would start creating overvotes and undervotes because it would become part of the picture. Do you see what I'm saying? The Sharpie was not a problem. Now, in the old days, it was. When we had the system in Maricopa that was, I forget, it was an ES&S other brand, okay? Sequoia. And the ovals were lined up on each side. And if you did use a Sharpie, that was a problem back then. So the problem that you're displaying was true back in 2000, from 1996 all the way up through 2002 or 4.
So my question is
2016 when they changed over to Dominion. So the
so my question is, did they or did they not provide black Sharpies to all precincts? Is that what you're saying?
No, they didn't provide them to precincts because you don't have precincts up there to vote at. They're voting centers, okay? And yes, they did.
Did they or did they not add Sharpies to all voting centers? Did they provide Sharpies to all of the voting centers?
Yes, purposely and rightfully. Regular ink dries slower. It could get on the glass and create a vote when it takes a picture.
That was not my understanding, and we're just going to have to leave it there because that's how it was reported to me.
I'll send an addendum to you and prove it to you, okay? But that was one of those myths, and it's very important that we become a conspiracy factualist. And that's what ABE does. It gives us evidence. In 2020, the cry from the far right was, it's rigged, and that's a childish reaction. Okay?
No! Okay, it says, all right, here we go. Wait. I get to say it. It's rigged. It's rigged. Okay, I just want to say that. All right.
Fraud. An unauditable election is proof of fraud. That should be probably one of the rallying points, okay? But I'll say this, I'm going to give both sides. if you're not doing electronic adjudication, why did Maricopa County endorse my system? Do you know why they endorsed it? You know why?
Because they were never going to do it.
No, they endorsed it because they do electronic adjudication. And when they're not putting out dirty line, 11% of the ballots in Maricopa County, which 70% is write-ins. And by the way, write-ins are very important to the Libertarian Party because that's how you keep ballot status. If you don't get those write-ins. True or false?
True, but they keep changing it all the time, so God knows what it is.
Okay, so the Libertarian Party had to sue to get that exposed. So they built a system that when 200 ballots are run through the system, and let's say that those 4 ballots had write-ins and overvotes, they get flagged. And that batch is frozen. It cannot go into the system until 2 people under a camera, okay? And I can get videos and show you how well this works.
Hey everyone, Phil the Ballot here.
When a voter returns a ballot with X's, check marks, circles, or write-in candidates, sometimes the tabulation equipment can't read it. That's where electronic adjudication comes in. Electronic adjudication is when a team of individuals from differing political parties need to review a digital copy of the ballot. The team, made up of 1 Democrat and 1 Republican, only looks at the contest that the tabulation equipment couldn't read. They decide whether the voter really meant to fill in the oval where the X's, check marks, or circles are marked, and the team also records any write-in candidate since the equipment cannot read the handwritten names. We have security and transparency measures over the entire process, including political party oversight, live-streamed cameras posted on our website. And as an added layer of oversight, every action taken by the adjudication board is logged by the team and compared to the system-generated logs. On average, the adjudication process can take around 1 minute per ballot. In previous elections where manual duplication was used, the process could take more than 12 minutes per ballot.
Learn more at BeBallotReady.vote. See you there.
I love it because I believe if the election was close within 1 vote, using ABE and electronic adjudication, if the center has that, then we would know and be able to verify. And that's important.
Okay. let me go ahead and, give some, facts. This is how it happened. In, what was it? 06 election cycle, I run for Secretary of State, screaming all this stuff, they got to have this committee. They passed a law to, clean elections we're going to clean up the election. We got to have election. Because it was being such a big deal. And what happened with me screaming about it for 20 years, it happened in 04 during the Kerry-Bush election cycle or whatever. They started to see that there was real fraud going on they couldn't get away from. Because what happened is, like John just said, they trigger a audit. If you're within 50 votes or 1/10% or something like that, it automatically goes to a recount. They didn't like that. They're like, damn. So they had this one candidate that won. He was a Christian conservative, that new district. He moved to here to whatever. They gerrymandered and didn't and he wins. Those did not want him. They were like, hell no. So what they did, it triggered the audit because it was so close that you started having competing fraud. They would have, all right, we're going to run, because it's illegal to just count the ballots. That's all right. Let's just get the paper out and we'll get her done here in a few hours, and we're done. It's done. We're done. Well, they go, nope. You got to run it through the machine again. Okay, that's the vote total that you're going to have. Whatever the machine says, we trust AI and the God of holy machine AI, and machine learned how to be the God, and we're going to trust them. Okay. So they put it through there, bing, does the same thing. But this time it didn't. They had more ballots. All of a sudden there's 500 extra ballots in there, and it kind of, goes the other guy. So then they're going, whoa, what the heck? So then it's a controversy. It goes back and forth, and Senator Harper, which was Republican from Sun City kind of thing, he's like in his 40s or something, though. So Harper goes like this. I'm running for Secretary of State by 06 this time, and we could see what was happening. Well, what they had done is they go, screw this. I'm doing a Senate subpoena. I want all the ballots from Maricopa County for this race and whatever precincts it has this race. Boom! It's in the caucus room, in the hearing room at the Senate. We're gonna count them by. I'll do it. Freaking! Are you kidding me? It's been how long? I'll do it. Within less than a day, boom! FBI comes in and claims jurisdiction. They took all the ballots out of storing them down at Sky Harbor Airport somewhere or something, and they disappeared. They're never to be heard from again. And I did.
So they did. A year and a half later, they came back, and then they destroyed everything, is what they did.
Of course they did.
I was on top of that case working with Jack Harper really hard.
So what happened from that was Jack Harper goes, oh, no, we got to have us an election, fraud something. So, of course, we were advocating for, paper ballots and whatever. Well, then they came up and they said 10%, and it went down to 2%. They go through legislation, gets signed in, it's law. Because everybody was like, this sucks. And I knew they had no intention of actually fixing anything. So what they did is they go, we draw straws, flip coins, bingo balls, whatever the hell they do, to randomly select a legislative district and then random precincts that they go 2% and they hand count it. They compare it. Okay, to certify the election, because when I was running for Secretary of State, I go, you're going to need my signature. And without me checking the program, or you doing a manual validation, you ain't getting my signature. I certify this election. Now what? Try me. So they were like, damn, this is coming, man. We got to do something. So they have this, ability and requirement to count 2% of the precincts and compare. But first they had to have a committee appointed by the Secretary, and they wouldn't do it. So I filed suit when they told me, and we're not going to do the committee. We went past the deadline. You're not going to get your thing, and this was the Assistant Secretary of State telling me this. And I'm going, you guys are so... Well, that was evidence right there of an affidavit I did to a special action, the Arizona Supreme Court. They told me they're purposely not going to do it. They're going to bypass the law being enacted by not doing the committee. This is what they're doing. Lying sacks of snot, blah, 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 blah. All of a sudden, they do it. It comes in the law. Then after you have 24/7 web surveillance of the ballots in the Treasury's room of the Treasurer County whatever thing. Then I go with television camera. I go, watch this. I'm in the vault. I'm out of the vault. I'm in the vault. I go, nobody cares. They're not even looking. This is all a joke. So what happened was they taken, put them there, and under the webcam that Senator Harper made sure got in the legislation, you could see it. All of a sudden, they were gone. What happened to the ballots? Eventually, they find them in a training room in Maricopa County Sheriff's Department under Joe Arpaio. We file suit, find that the hinges on the big ballot things, they just pull the hinges out and take the tops off. Oh, well, they got the security, numbered security little zip tape tie thing that they got on there. They were ordering the same serial number 10 at a time.
Yeah, it was incredible.
I'm like,
I discovered all of that. You know that, right?
I go, holy crap. So what did they do? They drag it out. Oh, it's past the 10 days. Ever so sorry, libertarians. Peace out. You don't get a fair election. Then when they did in the primaries, we do write-ins. You have to have as many write-ins as you do on petitions, and that's the way you can qualify for the general election. Well, they just weren't counting them. We know when John would do these kinds of things up here that they weren't counting them. That overvote, they weren't counting them. It kick it out. Here's a write-in.
Usually.
They wouldn't even look at it. So then we filed suit. One of the congressional candidates filed suit. We go up there and we show what they had done and blah, blah, blah. Okay, you're right. We'll count. Yeah, okay, you're on. Well, what about all our other write-in candidates? They didn't do it for them either. They go, but they weren't part of the suit. This, life sucks. We put this guy on. Everybody else can suck it.
But the good thing is they're doing
it what now. You're up against.
They're doing
the good thing
now.
Is what?
Because of our work, okay, yours and mine and others, okay? Because all that stuff you told just now was because of me working with your party all over the hinges, all that craziness.
But they changed.
But let me just jump in. It's my turn now, okay? They've changed the 0.1% to 0.5%, okay? Big deal, okay? Realistically, that's what they've done. But the problem is with the audit is that they're supposed to do 2% of the precincts. Hello, what precincts? All the ballots are stored by batches. If Maricopa had to put 2% of the precincts together to be able to audit the ballots, they would have to open up out of 1,450 boxes with 1,400 ballots each. They'd probably have to open up 1,400 boxes to put them together and destroy all the batches, okay? That's where the ballot images come in. We use the ballot images to run the audit. And then when we get done, we select so many images and go back to the boxes to verify as additional check, okay? And that's the point on that. And then the thing is, let's say, I want to talk about, you brought up about the hand count audit. It was a screwed up audit from the beginning, because when we were negotiating this with Ted Downing, okay, Karen Osborne and Brad Nelson said, listen, we'll go along with this thing, but we want one thing. You cannot, absolutely not, we'll kill the bill if you include county races. And I want you to know, it's a lot easier to manipulate 5 people on a board of supervisors than it is to handle 90 legislators, okay? And that is where...
I can tell you why. I'll tell you why. You want to know why?
Okay, well, let me finish up here and just say that, you know...
They had a county supervisor that was from
okay,
let me just say this. It's real quick. Let me just say this real quick. Let me just say this real quick. Let me get this into the show. John! Let me get this into the show, then you can talk.
Oh, okay. Keep going.
Steve Gallardo is was a Maricopa County elections guy. I knew him to be one of them. He became a legislator, and they're all buds with Kirsten Sinema in the state legislature. Then he became a Maricopa County supervisor. Yep. Maricopa County supervisor is a very powerful position. Okay, they can do a lot of stuff. Here you have a election worker guy that we were constantly in battle with. Goes on to legislature, goes on to Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. You start challenging an election, and what's their one condition? You don't count county races. Oh, okay. Why? Just saying. All right, go.
Well, it's because that's where they're the Board of Elections. They're in charge of elections. It's political, okay?
Yep.
And you know, in Maricopa, you guys really screwed it up there, because you turned around and Maricopa Board of Supervisors before 2022, they weren't in charge of elections. They turned over their responsibility to Karen Osborne and Helen Purcell. They were the Board of Elections. And they would just bring the results to the county and say, here it is. And then they would wave their
county
finger
recorder and elections director.
What, pardon me?
Said Kellen Purcell was the county recorder. Karen Osborne was the election director.
Was the chief election director, yes. Who had a very big inside to Sheriff Joe Apile, who was also
the whole thing.
Seals that you talked about, because, you know, a seal has to be unique. They gave them, like you said, me and Jim found that the seals, they would give them 10 seals and put it in the bag. That way, if somebody breaks into the bag, they could just grab another seal and seal it, and nobody knows.
It's amazing. It's so open-faced, lying sacks of snot. And my thing is, with something like what you're doing here, it still doesn't take into account that they do the fraud before the election even started. They just got a bunch of ballots. The thing is, once you put those ballots,
fact, and I'm never going to say that. I work with
I'll tell you a fact. Let me tell you the fact. Here's the fact. You put a stack of
20 years ago. The fact.
I'll tell you the fact. This election fact. Let me tell you the fact. They're looking at where all these postal trucks came with these millions of ballots. And they're already sitting there, you know, filled out and ready to go. Where are these coming? Who paid for the charter of these trucks? Who? The United States Postal Service. Who? They refuse to tell them. And you go, okay. Because I know this. When they stack of ballots, once you do a mail-in, it goes in, they tear off any identifying, so it's a secret ballot. It doesn't, you know, it's not, once it goes through the processing, the signatures match, pinky swear, we got this stack. You got a stack of countable ballots. Anytime that you put in that stack another stack, it's done. They all go process. You can shuffle them in, put them on top. Once a stack of ballots get put on top of that stack, Where did they come from? Which ones do you take out? Which ones are fraudulent? They're not marked. They're not attributed to any person. They're just a stack of paper that gets processed through this. And when you do this auditing ABE thing, it's just going to count all those too. It doesn't know any different. It has to be done at the precinct. It cannot be to where there's some stack of ballots that's going to go through a machine, because they add to the stack all the time. That's my point.
Well,
Tell me I'm wrong.
Not mine, okay? I need
That is
facts.
my
All
opinion.
I know is I don't know how the ballot got there, okay? I can tell you that with Abe, because Abe does not do that, okay? All I know, whatever runs through the machine, we basically have done this. The dream that you and me have had for 20 years, make the black box a transparent box. Then we can focus on these other things. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't it? Okay? I'd like to spend the rest of the years I have left chasing, if we got the ballot box transparent, is to see how things got in. You know, I'm a little freaked by Runbeck and how they handle things, and you know that. We've talked about that before. But that's changing too now, okay? Because of Heather Honey and other people who put tremendous pressure of saying chain of custody is important and it has to be. And I guess Runbeck is under new management. What was that?
I'm sorry?
I said that
No,
Runbeck
I got a
is also
call.
under new management.
Who's under new management?
Runbeck, I guess they sold. And,
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Runback a little bit. This is the oh man. All right,
Well, let me
we're gonna
do
have to
that.
wrap it
Let
up.
me finish the rest of my presentation because we're close
No,
to
you can't just bring up Runback. Let's just go ahead.
Okay,
and-
let's do it right now.
Runback is a company that is a lot of these election services that when we would out them, freedom of information, lawsuit them, whatever, they're like, damn, we need to have a private company that can claim proprietary software and proprietary, you're not allowed to look, and we get to do all the stuff, and here, county, count these ballots that we checked for you, you know, that kind of thing. So Runback is one of these companies. And they go through, and I'm going, I guarantee, they're not checking signatures. Well,
They
we
don't.
get a certification.
Just take a
We get
picture
a
of it.
certification from this company that says they are, that they ran it through. They did something. Their AI, they do. So it's legit because they certified that they're doing it. Well, who the hell are them? You know, it is so fraudulent at so many levels. And whenever you find them, count them, prove it, they just change the law. They just change who touches it. They just change what's susceptible to freedom of information request. They just change it. And this program, you know, I don't have a problem. You go, man. But I'm just going, all it takes is a stack of paper to be done put on this stack of paper, which is what they were doing when they were bypassing checking signatures. Then when we catch them, they have somebody, oh, they did it. Did they? I don't know. I don't trust these sons of bitches. You know, so this is, I don't want people to come away thinking that it's fixed. It's not. It's their intent. These people are sociopaths. These people are bad people.
not.
If
Not
they
all of them.
can, they are.
There's a lot
I
of
tell
good
you,
people. It's
I
a
have
big
met it.
organization, and I'll say
Oh.
this, is that they're
They
not
ain't
the
in charge, I
same
can tell you that.
organization when you looked at them, okay? 8 lawsuits later, things changed, okay? And this is going to probably piss you off, and I just want to say
But their
this.
intent hasn't.
Well, let me finish what I'm going to say now, okay?
All right,
You're not
go.
going to like
Go.
it, okay? But I want the audience to know that me and Ernie are good friends, and my glass is half full and his is half empty. And we approach things that way, okay? And we argue a lot. But he's not going to like what I'm going to say. Maricopa County, in my opinion, right now,
Here it comes.
is one of
Here
the
it comes.
best election departments
No!
country because of what their internal checks are, how their system is set up, and how transparency they are. And they're fighting to release images with me and then have the ballot library too, because they're proud of what they do, because electronic adjudication adjudicates 11% of the ballots. And most election departments are scared that people do get a hold of this stuff. They're going to see the dirty underwear that happens in elections, and the mistakes are not made by the machines. It's voter intent and write-ins. These machines only read the bubble. It's all they read, Ernie, okay? And And that's the fight. If we can get ABE out there nationally, maybe we could change the system. Maybe we could be like Mongolia. Mongolia, 98%
Is anyone
of the people
going to
in
use-
Mongolia believe their elections because after an election, they publish everything online by precinct on the internet in Mongolia. And that's something.
Do you have any jurisdiction that's going to be using ABE this election cycle?
No, I don't.
Okay, are you going to be able? Are you going to be able to get some databases to test
it?
it?
Beta. I had it built by February of this year. And then a very famous scientist, Dr. Tom Ryan out of Tucson, said, gee, John, this is really good. Have you scaled it? So then I had to go out and get large databases, and I had to get it up to 1,027,000 ballots, okay?
Are
And that
you
was
going to
hell.
test it on any election this election cycle?
Yes, I have. Well,
you're going-
yeah, out of Maryland, because they released right away. Wisconsin, I have their last big election, okay? That they have. Yeah, and now people are starting to release it because they want to prove. I think what's going to happen, I'm hoping, okay, with your help and others, is to let people know that it exists, get candidates lined up to write a records request. And the records request, they say, I want these two records, okay? And I don't need to explain to you why I want them, but I have a need to do that. What's happening in our country, cynicism is destroying our country. People no longer believe in democracy. We need to prove to them it's real, down to the original ballot. And we want you to release these two public records ASAP and give them. And that way we can look at it. You see what I'm saying? And that by
Yeah, do
doing
you
this,
have
we
a
take away
party
their
that can't-
immunity to steal because they're afraid they might get caught. They will only steal if they know they have a 100% chance of getting away with it. And in the old system, that's what they had. They stole with impunity. If
I
they were.
knew. I
If
knew.
they were.
So
I'm not
do
saying
you?
They are. I'm not pointing fingers.
Yeah,
I
but
know
who
what's
was it?
right.
Oh my God! We'll go back. Tape, please, to where the 2020 election cycle. John was. This was the most secure election ever. You know.
But,
and I'm like,
oh yeah, you know what?
Tape,
I'm not
please.
saying that. I'm saying that I was in Maricopa and I spent 4 months counting fucking ballots, okay? And guess what? We wound up with 300 more ballots for goddamn Biden, okay? So how do you like that?
Of course you did.
That wasn't counted by
The
me.
fraud was
That
already
counted by
done.
Republicans and the cyber ninjas. And if you believe that,
God.
I know that they lost control of the count because they were incompetent. And I was working with a lot of grifters because there are a lot of grifters. And the Democrats, because they say, ignore those people. And that's the giving them back to the grifters, okay?
So who is it, comes up and
Just
sits
going
in
off
front of
with
the camera and I'm representing is Ken Bennett, which was Secretary of State and was President of the Senate. So
Yep,
you
and a
working
very
with all the...
friend of mine.
Yeah, but he runs in front of, yes, we're going to have, and we're going to, I go, no, you're not. Nobody's asking the right question. No, I had the expert from Tennessee. We had,
Benny Smith, good friend. He's on my board.
and, God, what was it? March, Jim March. And, a lot, over the years,
good people.
I've gone through the forensics. I've gone through, I just, a simple thing. I go, can't we just have a hand count to verify? Well, then they pass that law. Are they doing that law now? Are they counting them manually? Are they taking their 2%? Is that still there or is that gone?
The 2% is useless because they have no precincts assembled to audit. All they have is batches. So they'll take a couple of voting centers, okay? And there's 744 goddamn precincts in Maricopa. By the way, there should be 2,500. Those precincts are too big. They average around 7,000 to 8,000 each is what they do. And that's just too big.
No, that's what it used to be, down to about 1,000.
In the early 2000s,
Yeah.
there was 1,325 precincts, and they're 40% bigger over 20 years. Okay? I made
intentionally. You
can
can see the progression. If you've been doing this for decades, you can see they're going to do this, they're going to do this, they're going to eliminate that. They're going to what end? To cheat. You're in charge of trillions, billions of dollars in budgets. Now we just have the debt of the states. The debt in the states is almost $1 trillion, $880 million or $1 billion. Billions of dollars. That is
Little
on
extra
top
hard.
of the national debt.
That's right.
You know, and so this is why do you think they want to be in there? So they can spend the money, dummy. You know, that's what's going on.
And the best
So
place is to get in the county, because where can you control a small amount of people? All you need is 3. And you know why I'm in Florida? You know why I'm working Florida? Because Florida and Arizona have a lot in common. One sold desert, the other one sold swampland, okay? And who was that? Developers, okay? And who, you know, my son is a developer now, real estate, and he was taking a class. And in that same class was Donald Diamond. You know who Donald Diamond was, right? The big developer, one of the largest in the country, okay? He started off working many years ago for a New York syndicate built out of Florida, okay? And it came to Arizona and did a lot of
construction
development
trucks
a long
with
time
diamond
ago.
on it.
He had yachts in different oceans, okay? He was taking a class, and somebody in the class says, Mr. Diamond, could you please tell us how you came to become so successful? You're a role model for a lot of us. And he says, very simply, I hung around the county and I made friends.
Yep, county. When we did Love Bus Liberty Tour, that's where we knew the power was. It's you know, they have the clipboard guy is the one that's shutting down your restaurant. The health department county guy is the one that's shutting down your gym. They're county, and we could see this invasion, and it starts with election fraud. How did they get away with this stuff? They put the guys in that they want to get away with. You know, They just use them, vote this, you know, stop that, appoint this person. It has to be a total sweep. There's going to be, you know, all right, we got to wrap it up, but I want to
No, we do, because let me finish, because I'm not done, because I keep getting...
All right, we'll go. You got 10 minutes. I got another show coming.
Good, okay, let's get through this quick, okay? We just finished looking at this slide, and I'm going to take myself out of the picture, because that way you can see. And this is one of the records that you would get. It's called an EL. I don't know if this could be the EL30. Here is the next one. This is another report produced by the voting
bunch
system,
of numbers.
SL30A. Okay, and you can see what I've done is to verify how many people voted. I wanted to see that, and they balance 815, 815. It balances. Okay, so then here is an EL30 broken down by precinct some more. It's another way of being able to look at all the results. Okay. We have a situation like, for example, we're looking at right now is hyperlinks, and these hyperlinks are to some say had 511 write-in ballots. These are write-in votes is what they are, okay? Here's another issue that Abe can help clarify, misread undervotes. Here is a ballot, and I guess this is the one where the guy, if you look, you can see in the top right, where that big circle, that's the only vote that was counted, because when he drew a circle around how he voted, you could see the line went through the circle, the oval, and that gave him 1 out of 14 votes because he was supposed to fill it in. These are things that the system can check for very easily, okay, and be able to use.
Maybe he did it on purpose. I'm going to make him look at it and do my intent.
Well, they do it because of if it's an overvote, but if it's an undervote, they're not, because undervotes are everywhere, and that's a sad thing about it. That's things that we can catch.
An undervote means if you get 2 votes, if you get 2 votes for House of Representatives and you only do 1, they call that an undervote.
Now here's on the screen right now is a person voted for Dan Cox. And then there's this Westmore. You see that little, we would call that a hesitation mark, and it's a solid vote for Dan Cox. Do you follow me?
Yep.
Okay, that's a hesitation mark in my opinion, because it's not filled in. Okay? By the way, in Maricopa, if you overvote a ballot and you call them up and say, oh my God, could you please send me in a new ballot? I made a mistake, because you can't erase. It will still show up as an overvote. They'll tell you, no, we're not going to send you a new ballot. What we want you to do is to draw an X through your mistake and say no, and then fill in the next bubble and put a yes, and it will go to electronic adjudication. We'll fix it there for you. And that's what they do.
Pinky
and
swear.
I've watched them do it.
Pinky swear. Pinky swear. We got this person determining your intent. And
no, it's
my
two people, Ernie. It's a Republican and a Democrat, and it's really
and they're both named Letitia.
I'm looking at the bad end. I'm looking at the upper end. It's under a camera. It's that's a way of being able to get these elections to perfect those mistakes. plus save the money from mailing out another ballot. Okay, it's a great system, and
Right.
I wish everybody did it. Hopefully someday they will, and then they'll use ABE as an independent system to verify it. Okay.
All right, keep going.
And so anyway, all of these are different ways of examining using Microsoft Pivot. And Pivot's a very important part of this whole process. To verify the results are accurate, we want to see if the votes on the ballot images match the cast vote record, okay? And so we do a count there, and you can see where the lines are or whatever. You can see what happened in close elections. That's a very important part of what ABE does, to be able to do that. Again, you're looking at, let's say, for example, this is a county that has 247 precincts. You can click on any one of these blue things, okay, in the database, and then it will open up to a separate Excel that hyperlinks, and you can see everything that happened in that precinct. Because like I said, do you need to audit 743 precincts, or do you want to do 10? And see if the machine is interpreting right, and that's a pure random poll, okay? That's what it comes down to. So now, how ABE do-it-yourself audit system works, okay? You can see that here is a ballot, and I'm drawing lines. This vote is the same there. Is that vote the same? Do you see what I'm saying? You look at the whole ballot. This is the front side, and then I could do the back side, okay? And this is precinct 250. One precinct of 256 precincts is what it is for this county.
Okay,
So-
now this is the answer to my question.
Thank you.
Go back to that other one. Go back to the other one. Go back. Go-
Okay.
no, wait.
And this is
Go
how
back.
we combat cynicism.
Oh, go back. Go back. Go
What?
back. Go back. Go back. Go back to that
Where?
chart. Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Okay.
So this is the answer to my question.
Yes, sir.
Do you or do you not have the actual image of the ballot?
Yes.
Here it shows that you do.
Yes.
Then that correlated to the fields where the information is tabulated, correct?
Yes. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
that's what I wanted to know. All right, go.
Well, thank
go.
you for clarifying that, because that's the whole key. And it's a hybrid. You cannot trust the system. It takes eyeballs. And it's good to have two eyeballs. One person does one thing and the other person. And like I said, do you want to...
Which is all the more reason they need to put a stack of paper in to get image. Here's a new stack. That's from that one's not from the stack that they added, or it is from the stack they added. How do you know which one is it? What was it? Is it a
one
good
thing
ballot? Is it a
also I
bad
wanna
ballot?
point
How
out
do you know? Wow.
Is, you see on column D, it's all red? That means that column C is the actual ballot image. Column D in ES&S is a separate image. And that image is called a single cast vote record. And that single cast vote record turns into that row. To me, I want the ballot image. I don't care about the interpretation. I want to use the original ballot image to look at that row to make sure it was recorded right. And then when I get done with my audit and I submit it, I say now, I want to come in after things slow down, and I want to match up some images just to prove in my report that they match up exactly.
Okay, now this is a really good slide for me to make this comment, and
Yes.
everybody understand. What you're looking at here is the question that I had asked in the beginning. Am I getting a like a JPEG or an image of the actual ballot? Yes, here it is. Then it corresponds to what the data that it pulled from there, who got the vote or whatever. And I'm sure you go further on, it has totals and all that kind of crap. So I'm going, okay, so this is the image. How is that generated? From a piece of paper going through a machine. Okay, cool. Where did that paper come from? Well, you don't know, because they took off any identifying, so it's a secret ballot. That's my point. Once you get that paper in that stack, it's over. You can't extract it out. Not this one. This is a wrong one. That's when they were starting to talk about, well, what kind of paper was it? Did it have the right bamboo and all this kind of crap? It's if you get the stack, which has been my problem, when you consolidate these and they go in trucks and they come on mail trucks and they don't even deliver them to Maricopa County. They don't deliver them there. They send a guy that goes up and he goes to the post office and he puts in his van a bunch of pallets or whatever, or mail bags of what takes in. Who tracks that guy? We went through all this stuff. It's when you get the paper in that stack, it shows up right there. That's where it shows up. Where'd it come from? Whose was it? Don't know. We can go through and get the exact image. We can do all kinds of stuff. That was my point about the Maricopa County audit. It was already frauded. It was already done, and it was done with stacks of paper, that they have extra stacks of paper. We're finding the extra stacks of ballots already. So I'm going, I just want that acknowledged. What you're showing here is totally thwarted if they put in a stack of paper, which has been my point. And the paper that they wanted to, they're off to a third party to check for the signatures, to check the ballot for the processing of.
The signatures are verified by Maricopa County, okay? And, I don't know if they're using
That's not what they told me.
artificial intelligence or not. I'd like to know that, okay? Because I'll tell you the truth, I think I prefer, artificial intelligence looking at this stuff, because I want you to know, when they check signatures, they just don't have one of your signatures, Ernie. They have every signature that you ever voted in their file.
Yeah.
They see how it migrates over time, okay?
Well, they pull it from your voter registration is where they get it.
Of course they do. And if you, if you register at a motor vehicle and you sign that little machine, you may have problems, okay? Because it's not going to match. Because when you write,
that doesn't matter. They just throw it through anyway. Got paper.
Well, they have to call. They do I spent a couple of hours with Venezuela, and I was just in awe of how they built an Amazon-style type system for verification, and it really causes only one big problem.
I bet they use voter IDs.
Pardon me?
I bet they use voter IDs.
I don't. They use your signature, and over time, and they have all of them. Okay, is what they have. Okay. Right. And but the
all
thing.
Right.
That
so we got to wrap it up. So what are you advocating for? Who's this message for? You want people, candidates to start challenging, use the system, download it, go get the database, make requests? What do you want?
To demand and educate that the problems in elections are complicated, but the solutions are simple. It's called transparency. Because what is transparency? It's the currency of trust. And without
Grandma
that,
counting,
we're not going to have a functioning democracy, okay? We're going to be combating cynicism in elections, and it's going to get worse and worse. And I've seen it. Since 2020, I've done in 18 states lawsuits. The matter of lawsuits. I'm in lawsuits right now. In fact, I'm the only person in the country has been sued for asking for public records. I couldn't believe it. And we went into court the first time, and the judge said to Santa Cruz County, "What are you doing in my court? Why isn't this in Santa Cruz County?" And he says, and also, what are you doing suing a requester? It's their right. Your job is to give him the records or give him a statutory reason. And on top of that, if you don't know what to do, go to the Attorney General and ask for an official opinion to cover your ass. They didn't do none of that.
Delay.
Block the whole state from giving out the cast vote record. And that is bad, Ernie. That's really bad, because the question comes up to, are they protecting their right to cheat or not?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm asking for your help, libertarians, Americans who care about their country, who want to try to prevent violence, is that the only way we're going to prevent it is proving if elections are real or not. That's the big question, and I want to prove that it's real, and if I do that, I took away their impunity, and they cannot play with it. You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
No, I understand what you're doing.
That's the only other way. But the black box must become transparent, and I know that you agree with that. And I say to you, I don't know if they're stuffing or not. I'm not going to claim that. Okay?
I could do away with the black box.
What?
I take a shotgun to the black box, so we can do that.
Oh, sure.
So I'm just like,
I'm going to make it transparent and provable. Okay.
We haven't even. I'm all right.
We're not
if you leave any opening for they, them, those when you're dealing with trillions of dollars in budgets, If you leave any opportunity for them to any way do it, they'll do it, and I'll tell you how they're going to do it. And every time, that's exactly what they've done over the years. John and I go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, but it's the intent. It's, how they're going to, I don't know, they'll come up with a new way. They'll hypnotize you. I mean, what the hell they're going to do? They're going to do it because they can. If you have it where they can, they are. I guarantee they want to. So this is, but, John has done a lot of, and he's been supported by a lot of progressive or left or Democrat or even libertarian,
really,
whatever.
The Democrats don't like me because I'm a denialist.
Not anymore.
Okay?
Not anymore.
This is a strange thing for me. Okay?
When you start getting close to a cure, then you're abandoned. This is
Absolutely.
John. As soon as you start coming up with a solution, they're going to pull, man. You have to. Oh no, hell no, not what John said. He's going to fix it. We can't have it fixed unless it's fixed our way. It's fixed. We fixed it. That kind of thing. All right. Hey, thanks for coming on. I got to get to my next guest, but I wanted to do this show right at the time, right before I can't bring myself to vote. I just can't. I just know.
We always go through that. Hey, come on now.
I can't.
I'm going to vote for Harris. You're going to vote for Trump. We can cancel each other out.
There is no canceling out. No matter who you vote for, the government always wins.
Maybe I'll stay home and you're staying home. No, I'm going to vote.
There you go. There you go.
I do believe
we'll leave it at
our Democratic Republic.
Well, the biggest reason is because I'm moving out, remote, and don't want them to know, the man. I mean, it's not like it's a big secret, but I don't want to help them. And they want me to put GPS coordinates on, exactly where the Hellfire missile should go. And I'm going, nah, I think we'll decline. Because I talked to the Secretary of State attorney. He called me like 5 minutes after I called. I go, how am I going to register? Oh, you can register at your daughter's house. And I'm going, right. And you're going to let me run for office there, even though I don't dwell there? How many lawsuits and, Hellfire missiles is Ernie going to get for that one? I don't trust these guys. So I'm just like, nah, I'm good. I'm sitting it out. But it is good. You want to support more of what you want to see in the world. And the efforts by John to even, come up with a system that, using their crap system, try and give some kind of validity to it. I applaud that. So have John come on, and I get to say you're still voting, a bunch of times. But it's good to have options. And this, when they go, this is the most important election ever, well, why? Well, this time there is a clear, definitive choice. More government, centralized, top-down control. We're going to take away this amendment, that amendment, this. We say we're not, but we are. This, versus we're going to deregulate. We're going to stop a law. We're going to do away with income tax. We're not going to tax, tips worked or overtime or kind of, real kind of stuff. And you go, wow, that is a definite polar opposite choice. To have that choice, I think that if it was accurate, Trump is going to beat the living crap even in the swing states. This is going to go stupid.
You could be right on that.
This is like Ron Paul Levolution stuff. This is the people
October
coming up.
Happened 2 days ago.
I'm sorry?
Watched the interview with on YouTube with oh my God, I'm forgetting his name. He's a big talk show host. And then another show
with
had.
Who?
Pardon me?
With who? Harris or Trump?
Trump. Trump did a 3-hour interview with
Joe Rogan. I watched it.
Joe Rogan. And then a really incredible lady got on the other show with the other big host. My God, my mind's slipping here. I'm getting old, At the same time, another one was recorded with a lady named Fox Kennedy, who's married. She was the campaign manager for Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and she married Robert F. Kennedy III, okay? And she did an interview that's just phenomenal. That really...
It has been... I watched the Madison Square Gardens thing last night. Donna started it, and we just went ahead and watched, pretty much the whole thing towards the end. And it was,
like the
Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr., and we haven't seen Ivanka around. She didn't get mentioned much. They're kind of laying low. But Melania gave a speech, which was awesome. You know, then you had Trump, Elon Musk. Tucker Carlson. I'm like, holy crap. You know, Trump is not a very good orator. I don't think he gives good speeches. I think he sucks. The only person that sucks more than him is Kamala Harris. I mean, you know, but I don't believe him to be malevolent. I don't think him to be evil. I don't think that he's looking to, you know, give me, he's got billions. I'm good. You know, I got enough. But this is a real choice philosophically. It's not a party thing. You know, this is a MAGA, whatever the hell that means. And RFK Jr. comes up and he said, I didn't understand MAGA. You know what MAGA is? It's the principles of my uncle JFK. JFK and Trump, they're tight like this. I'm like, really? Oh my God. You know, so he's comparing Trump to JFK. From Kennedy, RFK Jr., I'm going, and it's over. so this is going to be.
It could be, Ernie. This is an election that could be a blowout either way. It is unlike any other election I have ever covered. The parties are really going off to the side. Okay, I know Democrats are voting for Trump. I know Republicans who are voting for
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, minority, and then coming out trying to guilt black men, young men, into go shut up. This is so they've lost it. They so believe in their own press, and to have somebody like Kamal, it's so bad. It's so bad, and I can't give any credibility to the entire thing. It's not that I dislike Trump or anything. I give him props for being a hard ass worker. I give him that. I mean, damn, that boy is a working. So. This is
he has
the passion.
He's got to get himself out of jail. Okay, he's got to win. Okay, that's my opinion.
Elon wants to go to Mars, and not wind up in jail for his thing. Trump's got to win.
About Elon, I'm talking about Trump. But that's just my.
Well, all of them. They got a vested interest.
It's not about the right or left. It's about right and wrong. But I do have my own personal. But I separate it with my work. Okay, I want the person with the most votes to win. I'm sorry. That's how I look at it.
I just want to petition your government for redress of grievance in the First Amendment. That is lawsuits. It's voting. It's what my voice gets heard, and they've taken that away from America, from me, and for that they must atone. And here comes the atonement. We'll see. I got to get going, man. Thanks for coming on.
What I want to tell the audience here is if you go to Substack, you're going to find another article I wrote, which is very short, called Democracy in Peril, a well-orchestrated decline. Thank you, Ernie.
Go ahead and give out the website you want them to go to.